Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the annual general meeting of Leading Edge Credit Union. So before we get started this evening, I'd like to review some general housekeeping items for all attendees. Due to the number of attendees, we will have lines muted during the meeting. Participants are encouraged to use the chat function to ask questions at any time, and lines can be unmuted by request. Consensus for motions will be determined through polling options. Our annual report can be accessed in the handout section, which you can find to the right-hand side of your screen. This meeting will be recorded and available at www.lecu.ca. And for any technical support during the meeting, we ask that you call 1-833-851-8340. During tonight's meeting, there will be 7 polls launched for attendees to vote on the following motions: the adoption of the agenda, the adoption of the 2018 Annual General Meeting minutes, the adoption of the President's report, the adoption of the CEO's report, the adoption of the Audit Committee report, the adoption of board remuneration, and the adoption of the dividend and patronage refund. I will now pass things over to the chair of our board, Gary O'Brien, to call the meeting to order.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 11th Annual General Meeting of Leading Edge Credit Union and our first ever virtual meeting of the membership. I will now invite Charlotte Taylor to confirm we have established the required quorum. Charlotte.
In order to establish quorum, I ask that all attendees use the following poll to indicate their member status as shareholder, member, non-shareholder, or non-member. If there are multiple attendees at your login, please select multiple checkboxes or indicate attendance in the chat box. If leaving a comment in the chat box, please be sure to indicate the member status of all attendees viewing from your login. Also, please note that GoToMeeting software has on occasion had a glitch that does not allow an attendee to vote in a poll. Please feel free to use the chat box in the event that your poll malfunctions. I will now launch the poll. Thanks everyone for voting in that poll. I'll now share the results. And as you can see on your screen, 71% are voting shareholders, and therefore we have established quorum as we only need 15.
Thank you, Charlotte. Pursuant to Section 8.06 of our bylaws, the meeting is duly constituted. On your screens, you can see the agenda items for our meeting. Before the meeting, each attendee had the opportunity to review the agenda for this, our 11th AGM, as well as the minutes of March 27th, 2019. Are there any additions or omissions to note concerning the agenda? Hearing none, I will motion to adopt the agenda of June 24th, 2020. This motion has been moved by Roger Hardy and seconded by Randy Alexander. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please vote on the motion.
Just one moment, everyone. I'm having a technical difficulty. Hi everyone, sorry for the delay there. We were having a technical difficulty on this end. I'll go ahead and launch the poll for the adoption of the agenda now.
Yes.
And as you can see on your screens, it was a 100% yes to the adoption of the agenda.
So that means the motion is carried. Thank you, Charlotte. Next on the agenda is item 3, the adoption of the previous meeting's minutes. I will put forward a motion to adopt the minutes as of March 27th, 2019, annual general meeting. The motion has been moved by Candace Matthews and seconded by Charlotte Taylor. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please vote on the motion.
As you can see, I've shared the results to your screen, and overwhelmingly we voted yes, so we have a majority vote.
Motion has been carried. As per item 4 of the agenda, we have determined no business arising from the minutes of last year's annual general meeting. Does the membership have any business arising from the AGM minutes of 2019? Hearing none, we will move next to item 5, and I will now present to you the President's report. To the attendees of this year's Leading Edge Credit Union AGM, I'm delighted to report to you on our 2019 fiscal year performance. Fiscal 2019 was quite challenging, and although below budget expectations, we persevered to achieve a small yet sustainable profit by year end. This was achieved through strong leadership, teamwork, and determination in the face of many challenges. For example, we had higher than normal bankruptcies. Additionally, we had to acquire funds to increase our liquidity pool, which proved successful, but costs compressed our margins. This reduced our earnings and therefore our overall profitability. You will see this challenge reflected in this year's dividends to members. In my last report to you, I noted the challenges we continue to face as a small financial cooperative. We continue to proudly invest in our staff, our communities, and emergent products. We also continue to seek out economies of scale, all towards our constant goal of increasing member value. We advocate for amalgamation and collaboration opportunities, which can improve the quality and efficiency of our service to members. We remain optimistic for the future. Your board has met all its governance responsibilities. We lead the industry in our efforts to have our board fully CUDA certified. 7 of our 9 board members are fully certified in their Credit Union Directors Achievement Training. We have a great team at the board table. They are very committed and determined to effectively and efficiently govern Leading Edge Credit Union. We are pleased with the efforts of our CEO and his operational team for their dedicated performance in 2019, while managing to navigate through some very challenging obstacles. Thank you to both board and staff for all your efforts and achievements in 2019. I would additionally like to thank all of the staff of LECU for rising to the challenges we have faced since March in light of COVID-19 pandemic. In the face of these unprecedented times, Leading Edge Credit Union has risen to the challenge of maintaining member service standards while reducing member and staff risk wherever possible. The hard work and dedication demonstrated during this time is very much appreciated by you, the members, and the board. We are online this year due to the public health orders, and as a result, distribution of physical awards will be delayed. However, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge staff and board tenure awards. This year, we acknowledge the achievement of Terrell MacArthur, 5 years of service as a staff member at Doyle. Tony Lehman, 5 years of service to the board of directors. Amy Quilty, 10 years of service as a staff member in Jeffries. Elaine Ingram, 10 years of service as a staff member, first at the Port aux Basques branch and now at corporate office. Renee Sams, 15 years of service and recently retired as of December 31st, 2019 from her risk and compliance position at corporate office. Renee has since rejoined us in a casual position at the Doyle's branch. Corey Munden, 20 years of service. Corey, as you know, is our CEO and is celebrating 20 years of service in this position. Harry Coates, 25 years of service to the board of directors of this credit union. I would like to recognize in particular Harry's achievement. Harry first became a credit union member in 1969 and has been involved in governance since 1980. In 1995, he was elected president of the board of the Credit Union Central of Newfoundland and Labrador, and additionally was appointed as representative to the Credit Union Central of Canada. Harry has since been an influential part of the credit union system in many ways. To name just a few, his involvement includes work with the Master Builders, a business agreement between credit unions and government, as well as early work leading towards the formation of our Atlantic Credit Union Central. More recently, Harry was also deeply involved in the merger of Codroy Valley Credit Union and Brook Street Credit Union to become who we are today, Leading Edge Credit Union. I thank you again, Harry, for your dedication and years of service to not only our credit union, but the system as a whole. Congratulations on your 25-year achievement with Leading Edge Credit Union. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the award recipients of the annual staff awards. The annual Member Protection Award goes to Mindy Gillingham of the Corner Brook branch. The Individual Training Award goes to Janice Jessel of the St. George's branch. The Rupert Hall Memorial Staff Award goes to Kelly Thorne of the Port aux Basques branch. The Individual Community Impact Award goes to Rhoda Pumphrey of the Jeffries branch. The Branch Community Impact Award goes to Doyle's branch. Congratulations to all on these well-deserved awards. I will now put forward the motion to adopt the President's report for 2019 as presented. This motion has been moved by Dan Sheaves and seconded by Barry Sims. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please vote on this motion.
And as you can see on your screens, all votes came in for yes to the adoption of the President's report.
Motion's carried. I will now ask our CEO, Corey Munden, for his presentation of the CEO report. Corey.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us at our, as Gary indicated, our first ever virtual annual general meeting. Quite different, I'm sure, as I'm sitting here wearing a suit. Not that it would matter because nobody can see me, but it's quite a change. I first want to thank those people that have joined us from other credit union and other credit union organizations, namely Greg McPhee of Cumis and Colin of Concentra, Mike Leonard of Atlantic Central, and Shante from our neighboring credit union, Eagle River Credit Union, that we collaborate quite extensively with, and other credit union partners in the province that have joined us, and Brendan Doyle as well with the regulator. So thank you very much for taking the time to come out and listen in on our annual meeting. I had the rare opportunity to visit the Arctic Co-op Limited in Winnipeg back in March, just before the COVID struck, and do a presentation to them on the co-op model. And it was really interesting to listen to their story of how the co-op sector is vital to their northern communities. What was really interesting was a statistic that I heard was that 80% of the co-ops that were formed 75 years ago are still in existence. And whereas in the private sector, there are only 33% of businesses that survive beyond 5 years that are non-cooperatives. And you know, when you think about that model and what it represents and the vitality for that community, you can start to recognize that the co-op model certainly has a strong role to play. Our credit union started out very similar in the northern communities, with farmers and fishermen coming together to share their resources and to undertake a process where they would share, you know, funds and food, and it was done in an unstructured way, and then it moved into a structured way through the co-op movement, the credit union movement. So some might even argue that, you know, a lot has changed over time. We witness now that you could do financial services in any medium. You can do it digitally. You don't necessarily need a financial institution in your backyard anymore. So the question, you know, is the credit union model still relevant in today's society? I certainly think it is. If you consider the environment that we're operating in today, more than ever, I think people are recognizing that we have huge issues in our society, namely driven by what I would think is poor values. When you step back and you look at some of the major issues like climate change, inequality of income, and unbalanced government power, there is a common denominator. We see corporations that are so powerful that they're influencing the government and allowing them to pursue profit as their only terms of existence. It doesn't matter what the impact is to the human health. And this is quite different from our model. As you can appreciate, we operate under 7 cooperative principles. And these principles help guide us in ensuring that we promote equality, equity, and concern for others. I often make the statement that we use banking services as a means to create a better community. We need more than ever more cooperatives whose sole focus is on creating a better society versus those that are just in the pursuit of profit. We have lots of examples of cooperatives that are doing wonderful things, and your leading edge credit union is certainly one of them. So most recently, recognizing that our credit union is a cooperative and that we wanted to make sure that we follow the cooperative mandate more seriously, we've changed our vision and our mission statement to kind of guide us in that direction. We wanted our vision statement to place specific attention to a focus on our members' best interests. Everything that we do in our organization should be around what's in the best interest of our members. Once we've established that vision, we then decided that we had to create 3 pillars to live that vision. We wanted to ensure that we had quality products and exceptional service. We wanted to ensure we had knowledgeable and professional staff. And we also wanted the adherence to the cooperative principles. We now pegged the adherence to cooperative principles as equally as important as the other two vision statements and mission statements. So what I'm about to, I guess, go through with the audience is our commitment to 4 specific areas, and they are financial, member perspective, internal perspective, and learning and growth. These were the 4 categories that we've opted to choose to ensure that we lived our vision and mission statement effectively. So first, let's talk about financial. How do we create or improve value for our shareholders? And we set key specific performance indicators around each of these categories. We also done something very unique that is not common in our system, and that is we devised our key performance indicators into 2 key areas, one being a business and one being how we deliver on a cooperative mandate. So if you pay attention, when it came to our lending revenue, we did meet our lending revenue target by 101%. Again, your credit union continues to have strong demand for lending capacity, and so we were able to achieve our revenue goals and objectives for that year. As Gary indicated in his report, our deposit expense surpassed what we expected, and as such, our credit union was trying to raise capital, and we put on a deposit promotion, and actually we had an uptake of $27 million of members came forth to invest in that deposit portfolio. That certainly then came bearing a cost to fund that money to our members, but the good news is that our members walked away with a deposit that earned them a premium interest rate. And as such, because of this, our profit position, we only met that at 67%. But that's only one particular view. When you look at the cooperative side of the equation, from a forfeited revenue perspective, your credit union has forfeited revenue in several sectors of our membership. We provided free banking to our nonprofit account holders. We heavily discounted our seniors and youth service charges. And we also continue to provide an interest-free loan to our local child care cooperative. This added up to be $53,000 in 2019. We also distributed $21,276 in community contributions to over 104 organizations. And when you think about that, it might sound like $21,000 is not a great deal of money, but that represents 21% of our revenue. Of our profit. If you consider that the banks do less than 0.5%, you can start to see that the unique difference of your credit union. Even though we, as Gary indicated, had a small profit position, we were still able to return some dividends and patronage to our members in a tune of $11,236. Under member perspective, how will we create and improve member value? Again, the 2 categories, business and cooperative. Under business, every year we poll our members with a lengthy annual survey to gather lots of data to assist us looking ways to improve our business of the credit union. Again, in 2019, our members indicated a 94% satisfaction rating, which is a tremendous achievement. It showcases the great work of the leading edge credit union team in delivering on our mandate. The Net Promoter Score is 78. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. But member wallet share, we came in at 14,000. That's the average balance or asset balance that our members bring to our organization. and products per member 2.02. In this particular category, this rises and falls depending on the age band. Younger members traditionally have very low numbers. You know, they usually only have a checking account with us. And our median age between what we call a builders group between 25 and 40, they traditionally have three plus products, and then it goes down again as we get into the senior stage. But of course, our credit union would love to see this number rise. So it's very important as members that we continue to encourage more of our friends and family to do business with our credit union so we can continue to do good work in our community. In 2019, we grew again another 133 members. Now, what's significant about this number is that of the 9 credit unions in the province, only 2 have member growth, and we were one of them. In actual fact, we contributed significantly to the member growth in the province because actually there was less than 500. There was actually a decline of 500 members in total for the provincial number. So our credit union contributed 133 growth to that particular number. Under the cooperative side, it's important that our membership understand that although we provide banking services, we operate very differently than our competition. We want to raise the value through providing examples of our difference through our various communication channels. So when we ask our members, do they understand the difference between a credit union bank, we want that percentage to, of course, increase, although we're quite pleased to see it increasing at 83% currently. That shows that we're doing a good job in member outreach, communicating to our members, showcasing them the different examples of how our credit union is integral within the community and how we practice our member-first concepts. I think a really good number is this one, members' best interest. When polled and asked members, do we feel that we act in their best interest, 90% agreed that we do. That means that they're getting solid advice. We're looking out for them first, not us. And we're ensuring that when they walk away from the table, that they fully understand what it is that we are proposing. That means that we're providing them wise financial advice, which is great. Equally important is we want our members to understand that by supporting our credit union helps us support the community. We don't do this alone. Without the growth of our membership and the member contribution, we could not support our community in the capacity that we do. And we currently now, our members have indicated that 83% understand that they are playing a role in understanding that by supporting the credit union, that they're supporting their community. Lastly, under this category, under member engagement implementation, in 2019, we had 5 member engagement sessions. That's where we went out into the community and asked a couple of questions, namely around how can we improve our operation and how can we improve the way that we do things within your community. I'm pleased to say that based on the feedback that we got from those who have participated, that we've actually implemented 70% of the ideas that were generated through that process. Now back to the Net Promoter Score. The Net Promoter Score is very simple. It asks a question: how likely are you to recommend a company to a friend or colleague? And I want you to have a look at the chart there on the screen. As you can see, there are some well-known logos on the bottom, right up from Toyota, Ford, Apple. These are very well-known companies that have a very high Net Promoter Score. This is because their customers believe that they would refer them to a friend or colleague. Your credit union had a score of 78, which placed us to the top of the charts. And in comparison, banks have traditionally scored low, and some even have a negative number, as indicated by the Bank of Nova Scotia, which has a -3 Net Promoter Score. I think this speaks volumes in your credit union's ability to deliver on its mandate, and members seeing that they certainly would refer a friend or family member to your credit union. Under internal perspective, we have again 2 categories. Under the business, members asked to rate their account opening experience has indicated 100% satisfaction rating. We also have a lending audit score This is a score that is provided by our internal audit process, and I'm pleased to say that we have a 95% score in this. This goes to show the attention to detail that our staff put into the lending process, as well as we have a risk and compliance score. That's what the RNC stands for. And this measures the attention to policy and procedures. Again, we have a 99% score in this area. And this shows, obviously, a strong internal structure that your credit union has, which protects your member assets, as well as a staff engagement score of 80. I'll talk about that in the next slide. On the cooperative side, in 2019, we held another 5 member engagement sessions. We worked hard with 4 other additional non-financial cooperatives to support their efforts because, again, we believe that the cooperative model is the right model, so we want to support other co-ops. And the Just Us logo, as you see there, is a coffee supplier out of Wolfville, Nova Scotia, and they are a cooperative, and we support them through the purchase of coffee products versus, you know, just using the standard type of coffee that you would traditionally buy. We find that partnership very valuable. As well as I indicated before, that we have supported over 104 community organizations, which is phenomenal. When it comes to employee engagement, annually we conduct an anonymous survey to our staff to understand if the team feel that they understand the direction of the organization and if they feel they are involved in its future direction. Our credit union scored an 80%, which is exceptional, and it boasts of the efforts taken to ensure staff are communicated to effectively and consistently ask for feedback. As you can see on the slide, anything over 75% indicates engaged. And again, we scored an 80%. There is a testimonial there, which I won't read, but that is from our consultant at Credit Union Services at Atlantic Central that indicated that this is not that this is an incredibly good story. Our last key performance indicator chart from our balanced scorecard talks about learning and growth. To date, 86% of our staff have completed the training roadmap for their job profile. Obviously, we want to get to 100%, and the objective is that staff would be at 100% of their roadmap completed after 3 years of employment. We have all staff complete member service, member first training to support, of course, our vision. And members have indicated a 95% rating when asked if they felt that staff had a good knowledge of our products and services, as well as they indicated a 94% rating when asked if they felt that staff treated them fairly and thoroughly provided explanation, which I think is excellent. On the cooperative side, it is very important that our board and staff understand the co-op model. If we are to ensure that we fully deliver on the co-op principles and values, I am pleased to report that after second year of testing and further developing our board and staff, the scores are increasing. We have completed as well 16 community education sessions in the last year, and namely this is called the Each One Teach One program. We have a fair percentage of our staff trained on this program, and as indicated, we've completed 16 sessions throughout the areas in which we operate. We have 90% of our staff actively engaged in community socially responsible activities in our respective communities. And I think that is quite the achievement as well. Lastly, I'll just present a few slides on the financials. I'll try and keep it somewhat interesting, but there's just 4 or 5 slides left remaining. As you can see, your credit union has had tremendous asset growth. Since 2015, we've grown from 104 to 129. It's also It's also important to note that through our collaboration partnership with Eagle River Credit Union, we have $41 million in wealth management services through our wealth management representative, Jack Lissel in Corner Brook, as well as we have $10 million in mortgages with our mortgage center, League Savings and Mortgage in Nova Scotia. So we have in total there as well another $51 million that is not included within the $129 million total. So since 2015, we've seen our loan portfolio increase by 30%, and we continue to have strong lending demand. We, of course, have experienced some setback with COVID, but we hopefully, with the levels being reduced, we'll probably hopefully see some people returning back to work and stimulating the economy once again. But as you can see, we've had experienced solid lending growth for the last number of years. And in our deposit portfolio, we've had exceptional growth in 2018 and 2019, as I indicated. And this is net growth under deposits. And again, the rationale for that was we put on a few deposit campaigns, and of course the new membership that came on board. And as a result, we were successful in growing this portfolio. Membership, as I indicated, we've had solid growth. We've had 10% since 2015. And again, this is not the trend. This is not the trend in Atlantic Canada, as a matter of fact. Our credit union has always maintained a positive net member growth. And I feel strongly that it is because of our strong commitment to the community, our values, and the hard work of our staff that people understand and see that dealing with their credit union is good value. And as a result, we seldom lose people unless they move or pass on. The latter we can't do much about, but we do very well in terms of growth. And Charlotte is still chuckling. Net income, as Gary indicated, for us, we've traditionally been used to a very healthy bottom line, adjusting in 2019 to some due to some bankruptcies, higher than normal bankruptcies, as well as the cost increase to fund that growth in deposits. We still came out on top, but is certainly not near the profit that we were accustomed to. But I think what's really important with this slide is to indicate that, you know, when we get into these high profit positions, we simply return it back to our members. So, you know, in despite that our profitability is at 110, a good line share of that gap went back to members. It just went to some of the members that took advantage of our deposit portfolio change. So that, Mr. Chair, is my report.
Thank you, Corey. Having heard Corey's report, I will now put forward the motion to adopt the CEO's report for 2019, as presented. This motion has been moved by Dan Sheaves and seconded by Randy Alexander. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I now ask you to please vote on this motion. Charlotte.
And as you can see, everyone voted yes to the adoption of the CEO's report.
Thank you, Charlotte. Motion has been carried. We move now to item 7 of our agenda. On behalf of the Audit Committee Chair, Janet Willis, Corey will present the Audit Committee report in summary. Corey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Audit Committee met on 3 occasions over the past year to discuss this year to perform its duties. Leading Edge Credit Union had 2 audits completed by Mr. Byron Smith. He's our accountant for both internal and external. The internal audit focused on processes and procedures, ensuring that Leading Edge Credit Union does what it says it will. And the second audit was on the financial statements, ensuring the financial statements accurately represented the position of Leading Edge Credit Union and that all appropriate account standards had been followed. There were no items of great concern reported to the committee. At the time of writing the report, there were no unresolved issues between the committee, the Credit Union Deposit Guarantee Corporation, and the external auditor. All concerns throughout the year were addressed in a professional and satisfactory manner. Leading Edge Credit Union continues to maintain and follow strong processes and procedure. These procedures are reviewed and enhanced on a regular basis. Leading Edge Credit Union has a robust enterprise risk management strategy in place. The ERM framework is a way to assess risk inherent in our business and ensure there are appropriate controls in place to offset risk. A shared service provider is currently being used to enhance this ERM strategy, and that is with our trade association, Atlantic Central. This allows us to leverage experts in the field and reduce the risk associated with keeping up to date in this area.
Thank you, Corey. I will now put forward the motion to adopt the Audit Committee report for 2019 as presented. This motion has been moved by Janet Willis, the chair of the Audit Committee, and second by Jeff Patry, a member of the Audit Committee. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please vote on the motion.
As you can see on your screen, 100% of people voted yes to adoption of the Audit Committee report.
Thank you, Charlotte. The motion has been carried. Item 8 on your agenda is the Legislative Committee report. The scheduled phase of remuneration has expired. There has been no issues raised with the current rates. With this in mind, the board proposes no changes to remuneration for the coming year. This, however, requires approval of the membership. Therefore, I will put forward the motion to continue the remuneration of the board for the 2019-2020 board year equal to that which was approved by the membership for 2018 to 2019 board year. This motion has been moved by Harry Coates, the chair of the Legislative Committee, and second by Edwina Bateman, member of the Legislative Committee. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please vote on the motion.
And as you can see on your screens, 100% of people voted yes to the motion on remuneration.
Thank you, Charlotte. The motion has been carried. We now move to item 9 of the agenda, new business. I would first like to present to you the election results for 2020. Of the 7,190 eligible shareholders, there were 344 returned ballots. This is a 4.78% turnout for voting. We had 6 candidates in total to fill 3 positions. Our candidates were Brian Button, William Harry Coates, Daniel Conway, Archibald Locke, Daniel Sheaves, and Janet Willis. I would like to thank each of the candidates for their interest in representing their fellow members of Leading Edge Credit Union. At this time, we would like to congratulate Brian Button, Daniel Sheaves, and Janet Willis on their success in the election. I will now present to you the dividend and patronage refund for 2019. We will be recommending a distribution of $11,452 in the form of a refund to our membership. This decision requires the approval of the members present. As such, I will put forward the motion as follows. Pursuant to Section 29 of the Credit Union Act, that members approved a distribution to members in the form of a dividend and or patronage refund, an amount up to $11,452. This motion has been moved by Tony Lehman and seconded by Randy Alexander. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, please vote on this motion.
As you can see on your screens, 93% of people voted yes to the motion.
Thank you, Charlotte. The motion has been carried. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official business of the meeting. As such, I will now put forward the request to adjourn the 11th annual meeting of Leading Edge Credit Union. This request has been made by Charlotte Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again to all in attendance, and I wish you a very happy and wonderful evening. Thank you very much for attending.